The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a wonderful Tuesday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you as always by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you so you don't have to. We try to do the same here on this show every single day. It's going to be a fun one today because not only are we talking more about the West Branch State Championship, but you don't have to hear my perspective of someone that this was, watching it or listening to it. You can hear from someone that was actually there on the scene in Canal Park. Matt Marr, the voice of the state championship run for West Branch, will be joining us very soon to talk about what his perspective was and what he saw from West Branch and how cool it was to be a part of that scene for not just the baseball team, but the whole community. I mean, you could hear very clearly how excited that crowd was on his broadcast. Every time West Branch did something really good, it was met with loud ovations from the West Branch faithful. I don't care if it was on Friday when Matt Marr was on the other side of the stadium. I mean, he was on the third base side. West Branch's fans were on the first base side, and they were still louder than when Indian Creek had good things happen. You could hear their crowd. It was phenomenal. And then in the state championship, same thing. It just felt like West Branch was taking it up a notch when it comes to crowd support and audio levels when they would cheer. They were amped up for this game. And, that's one of the things we're going to talk to Matt more about today. What it was like to be a part of this atmosphere and be a part of the hoopla and be in the green machine for a couple of days. He was able to also call the regional run, and West Branch had a really good tournament run. We talked about it yesterday. Close games, pull in victory when maybe a lot of teams wouldn't be able to pull them off. So we're going to talk to him about his perspective of that. We're also going to recap last night's Class B action. 18U was in the field last night. 5 games went down. So we'll recap all that, and we will we'll talk about the standings and where they lie now and all the stuff that happened in 18U baseball last night. Here is Mr. Marr joining us in the green room. Buddy, how you doing, man?
Doing great. I mean, how could I not be? We just saw a state championship.
Let's go, right? I mean, that was our 3rd state championship of the spring. 4th team to play in the state championship. You got the honor of kind of following this West Branch team during their run. So first thing I wanted to know from your perspective, what is the whirlwind of this West Branch team been like? I mean, you look at all the way back to that regional final win where they walked off against the state champions, the reigning state champions, and then they come back in the next 2 games with late rallies against Indian Creek and Hamilton Baden. From your perspective, what was it like to watch West Branch continue to find ways to win in games where other teams might not be able to pull off victories?
I mean, that alone was amazing. This team had no quit in it whatsoever. I mean, you're talking about just coming back late against those 2 teams in Akron. How about you go back a game even before that in Canton when they went up against the defending champions in Kenston and won 2-1? I mean, it just hasn't been easy for these guys, but they found a way here. They might not be the hardest hitting team. They might not be able to find strikeout after strikeout, but they get the job done. Their defense has been absolutely incredible here throughout this entire postseason run. I can't speak volumes enough to it here. I mean, you look at the stat sheet there against Baden, at least, because that's what I at least have right here next to me prepared. I mean, pop out, fly out, ground out. I mean, everything under the sun here. Their defense has been turning everything. That's a big reason. And I mean, you hear it all the time. Defense wins championships. And that rings true here for West Branch. The Warriors, I mean, they've got that Warrior mentality, and the defense is 100% behind that.
One of the things you could tell while just looking at the box score, not even being there, you were there to see it in person, but you could kind of just get the sense that no matter what the situation was, West Branch stayed calm, cool, and collected. There were base runners for all the teams they played, probably some base runners that West Branch would look back on and say maybe they shouldn't have been on. There were a couple of walks here and there. This comes some sticky situations that never got out of hand. What do you see from the West Branch team to be able to stay calm, cool, and collected during the valleys, as you could say, of really elite baseball?
I mean, just to stay calm, cool, and collected. I mean, they just did their thing. Coach didn't interfere at all, really. I mean, there weren't that many mound visits. They trusted their kids here. They trusted Bo Alisas and Anthony Perry, their two pitchers there. I mean, that just were absolutely fantastic throughout those 4 games that I got to call for them this postseason. I mean, it was 100% behind them, and the rest of the team followed here. They stayed calm out there. They knew what they were doing. They knew how to get the job done. I mean, it's just all within right there. I'm not really sure if I can really speak too much about it. You'd have to ask them.
Shutout of Ursuline, 1 run given up against Keniston, 2 runs to Indian Creek, 2 runs to Baden. Those are the last 4 games that the West Branch played. As as you go in the tournament, it's supposed to be harder and harder to keep offenses down. But this pitching staff kept the line moving and kept keeping their team in the game. What do you see from Bo and Anthony in those 2 games that they both got to start from the regional semifinals on that helped them succeed so much?
I mean, like I said, they were just calm, cool, and collected, and they just did their thing. I mean, it's kind of hard here to just try and sum it up a little bit better than that. I mean, just from what I saw, I mean, they went out there and they pitched. I mean, they kept their pitch count low, obviously, because they had complete games. I think in all 4 of those games, if I'm not mistaken, I could be here. I've done a lot of Class B baseball here too, so a lot of games starting to get a little mixed up upstairs right now. So I do apologize for that if I am incorrect there. But no, I mean, they've just done their thing here. I mean, it hasn't always been pretty, but they've gone the distance. They aren't the big strikeout guys right now, at least throughout this postseason. Like you said, it's hard here to keep these guys off. It was hard to find strikeouts here against such good opponents. Indian Creek's got good history. I mean, Baden, the team that they just beat, has 2 state championships within the past 20 or so years here. I mean, and it just continue to come back to Akron or Columbus before that. I mean, so it's difficult here, obviously, but those guys, they did their thing, and their defense backed them up big time here. When they couldn't come up, I mean, again, they kept it ground balls. It wasn't too difficult at all, and their fly out into the offense. I mean, their outfielders out there were just something else there, and like Bell and Thomas. I mean, even if a ball seemed like it was going far and hard, I mean, they chased after it. They made the grab when they needed to.
I want to talk about this crowd because listening to your broadcast, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but Friday you were on the other side of West Branch. You were on the third base side. They were on the first base side, the fans, right?
That was both nights. Yeah.
Okay.
That's where they put me.
Oh, that's pretty because I'll tell you what, maybe it was just your audio, maybe it was somebody. I swear, even though you were in the part of the stadium that was the opposite team side, it sounded like West Branch was just louder. Every time something good happened for West Branch, they would erupt, and you could hear it through the audio. Did you get a sense of that? Did you think this crowd really brought the thunder, and they seemed even louder than the other team's faithful fans?
Oh, I mean, they were 100%. I mean, they stood out immediately the second I went in for that Ursuline game. That student section was something else. I mean, just big for one thing. For baseball, you don't expect to see that many students show up. So that was amazing just to see that. The students showing up there and showing support for a baseball team here. I mean, that's amazing. That's a sense of community right there. And then when we continue to move forward here, the crowds got bigger and bigger and bigger as soon as people started realizing, hey, this team is legit. They have a really good chance here of winning or at least upsetting in some way here these big dogs that are coming up here in Division II. I mean, that's just awesome here. So just seeing that community, parents, fans, anybody who wanted to come out here and watch. Heck, for the final, my dad wanted to come and watch because he saw how good they were. So, I mean, just showing you how many people came and supported this team here. Yeah, I mean, you said they were loud. Oh yeah, 100%. Sometimes I felt like they're going to drown me out, and if I was a little bit closer here, they probably would have. But obviously, they put me up in a loge instead for the media suite or whatever you want to call it. So I got to keep it a little calm, and I got to call my game. But still, oh man, you talk about that crowd. You talk about those students. It was amazing. They were rowdy. They brought their team back up here. They brought the energy. I don't know if they win without those guys showing up.
Before we go on, you gotta fan the comments. I don't know if I'm guessing James John is talking to you when he says "looking good, man." So, you know James John?
No, but I appreciate it if he's
All
talking
right,
about
let's
me.
go.
Maybe he's just talking about West Branch looking good. I mean, they were. Either
Okay,
way.
so let's talk about the celebration and being a part of it, and then going down, getting these interviews, being able to talk to Anthony Perry and Bo and Coach Molinix. What was it like to be a part of all that? I mean, be a part of the elation and the celebration that West Branch had after winning the state championship.
I mean, it was fun, obviously, to be down there. A bit of a zoo. I mean, because if anybody's familiar with Canal Park, out in their right field, they have the Tiki Terrace, which normally during Rubber Ducks games is their kids zone, and then they've got bars out there too. It's kind of weird to think that they put alcohol and kids together, but
Yeah,
it's minor league baseball.
good.
You're
It's
there
all
to have fun,
good.
right? Yeah,
It's
come
all
on.
good.
But anyways, I mean, that's where they put us out there because it wasn't the biggest crowd of the season, obviously. But I mean, for West Branch, it was. But no, that was amazing just to be down there and just trying to traverse through all the different media members. After like 5 minutes, they let all the parents let loose to try and get pictures. So trying to not trample anybody and just trying to be as courteous as I could be under the circumstances while still also trying to go over and talk to these kids. And of course, the coach as well. I mean, that was fun. It was chaotic. I mean, it was championship atmosphere. I mean, 100%. It was awesome to be part of that. And I feel like we got some good answers there from all three of the guys I was able to get to before I just eventually had to give up and say, you know what? I got enough here. Let's just let the parents go and be with their kids and let the kids go and celebrate with each other.
That's exactly, you did the right thing. Post-game interviews, our view on them at YSN, they should be short, sweet, to the point. 2 minutes max. So they land on social media well. They fit in. And we're not the guy that's going to keep the coach there for 10, 15 minutes asking, questions that may or may not show up on the actual story that we write anyway. So one of the things I want to know from you, what was it like being, we do high school baseball. We don't get a lot of press boxes. We don't get a lot of, media suites. What was it like to be in Canal Park and to be able to, have the loge, as you said, the media suite, be able to broadcast and that, and kind of a little bit of a step up from where we're usually setting up in the high school baseball world.
I mean,
outside of Scene Park, by the way.
Well, yeah, Scene Park is its own thing. I mean, it was nice, obviously, to be able for them to put us up there and give us something. I mean, we were in just suites that normally fans would be in. And I mean, for the first game, it was fine. I was in there by myself, set up, and there wasn't too much glare through the window, so it was great. It was a great atmosphere. I was able to open the door up so that way you could hear everybody. That was a big part too, because I knew that we needed that natural sound. I knew we needed to hear the crowd, just bringing them back into it here as well. So it was nice. It was comfortable, and I mean, they treated us well, obviously. And then in the second game, I almost ended up having a couple other people in the booth with me, which they said they were going to be very loud. When they said that, I was like, okay, that's going to be interesting. Hopefully what are you going to be loud about? Like, why are you guys getting loud? You guys are just writing the story, taking pictures. I get that you're going to get excited too, but anyways, I mean, we were going to make do with that, but then they decided to move over to the room next to us, which was awesome. So shout out to, I already forgot who was in there with me, but shout out to them for being thoughtful here and allowing me to just call the game and to not take over there. But it was a cool experience. And then even over at Thermal Munson Stadium, that wasn't proper press box that they had up there. They had a few that were renovated. Most of that park is very old if you've ever been there or not. I mean, that was built for the Canton Akron Indians. That was my team, like back in the late 80s,
metal bleachers. 90s. The stadium's old when they had metal bleachers.
But they renovated a few of those boxes there as well, and then nailed the rest of them shut. But it was nice. It was cool. I mean, that was a really nice step up, obviously, for both of those two professional facilities, or at least at one point professional facilities. And yeah, I mean, it was cool. I mean, I actually will say here, at least with Thermal Munson, there is nicer out here. I can tell you about that with some of the high schools that we've been to, some of our bigger ones, I guess, that had maybe a budget. So, like, I mean, Boardman was very nice and accommodating. Yes. Fitch. So, I mean, It was about on par there, I'd say here. But then when you go to Canal Park, obviously that's a palace compared to anything that we normally are used to. So that was really cool. They were accommodating, very willing to answer questions if I had them. Got me pronunciation guides. I had to ask somebody for a roster to take a picture and send them up to me. But other than that, yeah, it was nice.
We almost never get pronunciation guides in high school. So
oh yeah, well they were doing that.
That is a step up.
They were doing 100%. They were doing it for the whole state tournament, at least from the regionals on forward. So hey, I know I mispronounced somebody's name anyways, but
Probably.
I still tried.
It's bound to happen. Some names, and you know this too, and I know it because I used to do YSU volleyball, so I got the nice professional pronunciation. Right. Some of them you still look at and you go, I don't even know still. There's a lot of consecutive consonants in this name, and I don't really know how they're gonna be sorted out. There was one that I just looked at, and I looked at Richie, who was doing the play-by-play.
Right.
I just no.
Yeah, him and Anthony Hartwig. I don't know. I mean, you and Anthony Romo too. I don't know how you guys all have done that with college. It's amazing what you guys have done. So
didn't say that on the air. I just kind of I was like, oh, what a good play, and then I looked at Richie. I was like, no, I didn't say that name because it was impossible. It was it was something from like Poland or Russia, and it had like 5 different consonants together that don't go together. It was
Division I volleyball. You never know where those kids are coming from.
Right.
But even here in Ohio, you never know where these kids are coming from.
I stuck to the bio and just said stuff about the player, and then never mentioned the last name.
If you have that luxury, go for it. Obviously, with high school sports, we don't have that. We got to try and find it if we can.
we have to dig a little bit in high school sports. We don't get the nice little media guide. Like, we have to work for the information that we get.
Oh, yeah. I always look to, and I normally have my partner Jordan Barber with me as well doing games. He did the Ursling game with me too, so he was part of this run for a little bit when he was available, and he looked up some stuff as well, I do believe. So I mean, shout out to him as well, just for putting in the work and helping out as well, and just trying to make these broadcasts as great as possible whenever he's available to help me out.
So I don't know if I'm sure you did know this because you do your research really well, but the last team state championship the West Branch had was back in 2004, girls basketball.
Oh yeah.
Against who?
Against Hamilton Baden. Yeah, I was able to figure that out. Yeah. No, I brought that up twice when we were in States, actually, because I can't take credit that I found that. Our old friend Matt Morrison was there working for his new job, but he was able to tell me that, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to write that down. I'm going to look it up. Going to find the score."
Make sure to fact check that guy, man.
Oh, I did. I don't like you need a show here or anything.
Right.
Once upon a time. But yeah, no, it was awesome, and he's the one who was able to send me the pictures as well. So I still need to say thank you to him here, and if I can thank him here publicly, I will, because he did help me out a lot.
All right, so
still a friend of Ysn.
When you think of now high school baseball is done and so is softball, you got a chance to call plenty of both, plenty of baseball, plenty of softball this year. We've put a bow on the high school sports season for the spring. What are some of your takeaways? Some of the things that you saw, some of the fond memories you have, maybe some of the favorite games outside of the state championship, of course. I'm sure that goes down as a favorite game that you've been able to call all year. But outside of that, what are some other games that really stick out to your mind that you enjoyed calling this year?
I mean, I always enjoyed going down to Girard because I live down the hill from that. So just being able to go there and be part of the community that I have been trying to be a part of with football and basketball season. I think I did a couple of softball games for them as well, just trying to get down there. Those were really fun to be able to call for the Girard Indians. When it comes to games that stand out specifically, I honestly can't think of any that stand out specifically to me. Again, I've done so many of these baseball games, and I'm still going through the summer here with these Class B games and anything else that you guys might ask me to do. So it all kind of comes together. The one that stands out the most, like you said, is the state final and the 3 games leading up to it right now for me most. But I mean, it's just been a lot of fun here seeing the great talent that we have out here on our network, our area, even around further. I mean, in Akron with Hoban and over the border in Pennsylvania with the teams we have up in Asheville, which I don't think I got to go up there, but still just seeing those with the replays I've been able to make or just watching the games in general. I mean, it's been amazing here. There's so much talent on this network in Northeast Ohio and, again, and over the border in Pennsylvania as well that we have. It's been awesome to see these kids. And I mean, I think any of these teams here, pretty much any of these teams that we have on YSN could have made a run like West Branch here if they just got hot.
For people that don't know, Matt Mara is the man behind all the highlights that you get to see on our social media page. So what's it been like for you to be able to, get the games that you don't get to call and be able to see all the big plays that we get on YSN? And put them together and to be able to share those big plays with the world.
Well, like I said, it's really cool here to see what these other guys are doing. If I'm not watching the game because it's going on at the same time mine, I get to come home, and the next day when Brian sends me the links to go through and see what the big plays were and put those in together and try and keep them within about a 2-minute highlight reel. It's cool though. I mean, especially during football season, I saw so many great plays, especially up north in our Ashtabula affiliates. Those guys, they play so hard with basketball and football. So no, it's awesome to be able to see that, and then obviously to put them together so people can watch those and relive the best moments, if I can find them at least. Then yeah, it's awesome. I mean, obviously some of these either with the video that we have with the internet connection or whatever, or just because I just didn't see it and I saw something else that I thought looked really good. Some things do get missed every now and then, unfortunately, unless somebody's telling me specifically what to look for here. There's a good chance that I do miss it, but I try to get everything that I can. But yeah, it's been awesome here just to see. I mean, that just is another reason why I'm able to speak here so highly of all of our other teams here on YSNs, because I've seen pretty much every other team here in one way or another, even if it's just quickly going through, skimming through, trying to find something for them in every different sport. I've seen them. I know that they're doing an amazing job.
You also get to highlight the wonderful announcers that we have on YSN. What's that been like for you to see all the good work that our team and YSN is doing across the whole coverage map?
I mean, it's awesome to hear and see what other people are saying and doing. I mean, I can't remember exactly who, but I know that I've taken a little bit of an inspiration here from a few other guys because I hear what they're doing. I'm saying, wow, that actually works really well. Why am I not doing this? Why am I not saying something like this? Why am I not getting more excited? I mean, so it's awesome. It's helped me a lot here, and it's also just been awesome to see the reaction here, all the different views, likes, shares that these, and even comments that these highlight reels are getting here on Instagram and Twitter and anywhere else that we might be able to share them here social media wise.
Yeah, they go
just
nuts.
Everybody else. Yeah.
They go nuts on Instagram. Which is it's for people that don't know social media well, like the Instagram is is the hotbed for like the student athletes. A lot of them get our content through Instagram, and that's where the highlights go nuts because these kids love being able to kind of see themselves in a package that you'd see on ESPN Sports Center. Like, oh, this is me. Like this is what we don't get to see in high school sports. It's another thing that we're able to provide them that you don't get anywhere else, which is just a highlight reel from beginning of the game to the end of the game that's dedicated to them. Not a little snippet of game, whatever plays that we happen to get, but a whole beginning to the game, end of the game highlight reel of what they did. Matt, one of the things I want to also ask you, because I know you've done a lot of highlights, so this might be hard. It might all be a blur. Do you have a favorite highlight so far that you've done? Maybe if you want to narrow it down to this baseball, softball season, or if you have one that sticks out for the whole school year, do you have like one that stuck out that like, man, this was really fun to make?
I can't say one specifically. I know that I had a lot of fun during football season because those games are just so fast, high action. I mean, I love baseball. I mean, maybe doing the hockey ones, especially when Canfield got to go out there and play and win a Barron Cup playoff game. I know I called it, so it's a little selfish of me to say it's mine, but still, that's so cool because hockey is my favorite sport. I'm wearing a Cleveland Monsters jersey right now here, just to give you a little bit of an example here of what I love. So, I mean, that was so cool to be able to make that highlight and then put it out there and relive that moment and let anybody else who's interested relive that moment, and even tell people here who maybe aren't familiar with the fact that we have a hockey team here in the Mahoning Valley.
Right.
Here we have one of our own in Ohio that we can watch and go out and support. Hopefully more people go out over to the Deep Freeze and watch them. And if not, tune in here and listen to me and Jordan next season here. Call Canfield Hockey because it's going to be fun and they're going to be hopping off. I can tell you that.
Hockey teams, the YSN family. We're going to get you guys down to Louisville, and I know Orange has one too.
We got to get more up there. I know
we'll blanket the whole YSN family.
I know we got to get more hockey on the network. We got to do it.
Matt Murray, you're gonna have a hockey show one of these days. Like I had wrestling and I have track and golf. You're gonna have a hockey segment.
Gotta get more teams.
You're gonna gas up the 3 we have.
Oh, absolutely.
Mark Stancor, by the way, in the comments, always appreciate you viewing in. Glad to see you. I haven't seen you in since wrestling season. Hope you're doing well. Matt, we also are talking about Class B baseball. We're gonna recap the scores from last night in a little bit, but you've been able to call a lot of games in the first 3 weeks of the season so far. What's kind of been your takeaway so far from Class B baseball? A lot more parity when you're looking at the standings than we've seen in the past. Usually we're so used to Astro Falcons running away with everything. Not the case so far this summer. We see a lot of teams and jumbled up in the standings. I know it's early, but we're seeing a lot of parity in Class B right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Here, now that you're talking about this, I kind of want to go look at the 18U standings myself here just to make sure I'm speaking about something correctly. But
Do you want me to bring it up on the screen? I can
yeah,
do it.
yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it. Let's
go for
bring it up right here. I'm gonna go to scroll down, and I'll go to standings.
It looks like they
And
are in first place at the moment, but they're not running away with it.
they're definitely not running away with it. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, sometimes at this point, and I can see that they're tied with Athletics, who, they're skewed in how many games they've played so far. So Athletics has more wins but more losses. 9-1 for Astro, 10-2 for Athletics. That isn't a tie. But yeah, usually when we hop in, especially 3 or 4 weeks into the season, it's the Astro Falcons with a 4-game lead or a 5-game lead. They've just been running away with this regular season standings for a while now. But last year we saw some seeds of parity. We saw some teams making some leaps, and now even more so, we're seeing more teams be able to put up some solid fights and solid numbers. What have you been seeing? Let's start with 18U since they played last night. What are some things that you've seen from the 18U division in your time being able to call these games?
I mean, obviously we get to see Astro Falcon playing a very good game. They just had a run roll game last night. So, I mean, they're still a good team. Let's not take that away from them. But Athletics, I mean, they've been fun to watch here, hitting very well. Their pitching's been good. I mean, I haven't gotten to call the Barons yet because they never seem to be wanting to play on field number 1, at least when I'm there. So, unfortunately, I think they're just trying to avoid me. I don't blame them. They like Andy, I guess, over on 3. I don't know. Andy
maybe the new kids on the block have to put in some work before they get on scene 1, right?
Maybe, I guess so, but I don't know about that. But I mean, they seem like they've been playing very well here with the highlights I've been able to. I just put up highlights against their game versus Nightline. I mean, win or lose, they're still playing close games. Avalanche, I mean, they're not putting on an avalanche of runs here, but they're still putting up some great offense as well. And I mean, for those first 4, I'd even put Creekside in there. For the first 5 teams, the pitching's been solid here throughout the season. It has been perfect, but I mean, again, it's a short season, so it's hard to really get into a full groove here, especially when you're playing several games. You kind of get a little exhausted after a while, I'm sure. But I mean, it's still been very solid here, at least for those top 5 teams. Down lower, I mean, well, the records are starting to speak for it a little bit. Dura Edge, I mean, just got to 500 yesterday, but still a good team there. I mean, I think with Dura Edge, we even did a solo highlight reel there with Blake Jeffries with his in the park home run. 3 home runs this season. So they're still hard hitting teams down there, no matter what. Eagleware individual statistics there, obviously 0-11 this season as a team, but individually, there's guys who are batting above 400, 500, even 600 on that team here. So, I mean, there's still some really great talent on all of them. It's just trying to figure out a way to come together right now and just get that done. We're about halfway through the season now here because it goes through July 1st.
Yeah, about halfway. Well,
there's still some time.
If we look at the game schedule, I think we can see when the season ends.
I think it said July 1st was the last regular season. After that, I think it's postseason. Just trying to think about what I looked at yesterday when I was looking through all this.
I see games scheduled through July 5th.
Well, if you click on them, it says to be determined.
Oh, okay.
So those are postseason, but the first still has actual teams.
All right, so we'll go to the first, which means we have what?
You okay?
Yeah, 21 days on the dot. 3 weeks left of Class B baseball. So you're right. We're 3 weeks in, 3 weeks out. So we're right in the halfway point. As we just looked at the standings. Let's look at the games from last night. You called 2 of them. Which 2 did you called? Dura Edge and Athletics. Dura Edge and Astro, right?
Yep, I did the Eagleware and Creekside game, and then the Dura Edge and Astro. So the 2 on field number 1. That seems to be where I'm going this season.
Open the Creekside game right now. A shutout for Creekside as they won 8-0 over Eagleware. They scored 5 runs in the first match, 2 runs in the third, and 1 run in the sixth. When we look at this box score, 8 runs on 10 hits, no errors for Creekside. They only allowed 1 hit on the day for Eagleware. This is the offense from Creekside that we're used to. Very hard to pitch to, very hard hitting. They had a little bit of a struggle day on Sunday trying to get the bats going, but get right back on the horse. When you look at this offense, RBI is kind of everywhere. They had 2 apiece from John Husband and Tyler McEwen. They both had 2 RBIs. Husband went 1 for 3 and McEwen went 2 for 3. RBIs as well from Aiden. Well, how do you Crocier? Is that how you say that?
I went with
Crochet?
Crochet until a parent comes over and tells me. That's usually
Right.
the best indication because
Maddox
coaches
Yost,
aren't always the most helpful.
Maddox Yost also had an RBI, 2 for 3 on the day. Just a spread out offense. You look at their 10 hits, and only 2 of the hitters had multiple hits. So a lot of hits spread out through the lineup. And then, of course, their pitching did really well. Caleb Hadley, who we know extremely well from Warren JFK, he had 4 innings pitched, gave up the 1 hit, no runs, struck out 9, just walked 2. He was relieved by Emmett Feliski, who went 2 innings, gave up nothing, no hits, no runs, no errors, and 2 strikeouts, no walks either. So 0 base runners in his 2 innings of relief. That's the Creekside we've come to know in the past. They've always been the team that, especially 2 or 3 years ago, in that run before last year, they were the team that was the biggest threat to Astro Falcons, and we're starting to see the dominance of Creekside kind of step into the light a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, again, we know what Eagleware has been doing here this season here. So, I mean, just take it with a grain of salt what we're seeing today. But I mean, there have been other great examples as well here just throughout the season on the other fields. I know I haven't gotten to call them 100%. I don't have a set team. Obviously, I just call whoever I can. But yeah, they've been fun to watch. They've obviously got some good stats here, and they've got a bunch of really good players here as well.
We bring up the Astro Falcons and Dura Edge, as you said, a 12-2 run rule victory. 12 runs on 15 hits, 1 error and you look at the hitting for Astro Falcons everywhere, right? I mean,
everywhere.
4 RBI day for Blake Primrose, 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored, 2 RBIs from McElroy, 1 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. He had a 2 for 2 day from Maddox Tarquino, who I think is a very fun name to say. 2 for 2 with a run scored for him. And then an RBI as well from Brady Alexander, who went 2 for 3. But then you look at the hitters that also had multiple hits. I mean, Creed Eros had multiple hits. You had Ben Kern with multiple hits and 3 RBI for him.
Mm-hmm.
I missed him when calling out the RBIs. My stupid vision saw the 3 as a 0.
Oh, Kern, yeah. I mean, the sack fly. Then he had 2 back-to-back singles that brought in runs as well. He was playing well.
And then you also had Air Fox with a win as well, with a hit as well, 1 for 3. Pitching for the Falcons, Sal Minio went 3 innings, gave up 2 runs on 4 hits, struck out 6. And then Kern, along with his impressive offensive day, came in and pitched 2 innings of perfect baseball. Well, I should say no-hit baseball. He did walk 1, struck out 2.
Yeah, I mean, he did, and there was also an error out there as well on that. But still, some great pitching, as always, here for the Astro Falcons. You're talking about the hitting as well there with Primrose. He had a 2-run triple, I mean, on his last at-bat in the 4th inning. I mean, the kid knows what he's doing. It's obvious right there. I mean, pretty much all these guys do. I mean, 4 RBIs, I mean, that's as good as anybody's ever going to get here in any game, whether it be Class B, regular season at OHSAA, or wherever they're playing.
When you're pitching against Primrose, you always feel like it's the Hunger Games, right? I had to throw that little pop culture reference in there. I couldn't avoid it.
They always do a great job here at getting kids here who really want to play and take it seriously, joining their team. It's always fun to watch the Astro Falcons play. Sometimes it's not always fun to watch the opponent because of what Astro does to them, but yeah, they're a good team here. But again, you got athletics and a bunch of other teams, parents right on their tail. So again, it's not just them who's doing this. And that's a great thing to see. It's some competition.
Let's talk about athletics. They had a game where they had to really work for it last night. 7-5 win over the Prospects. Let's look at this final score here. Essentially, final box score. The Athletics started real hot, scored 4 runs after falling behind 1-0 in the top of the first. Prospects answer in the top of the third with 4 runs, but the Athletics answer again, 1 run in the bottom of the frame. They add a run in the fourth, and the fifth, and that was enough to get the 7-5 victory. 7 runs on 11 hits, 1 error for the Athletics. 5 runs, 6 hits, 1 error for the Prospects. When we look at the Athletics hitters, we see a good day for Mr. Evan Tice, who is the East Liverpool proud Potter, who is going to be making his 4th straight appearance in our YSN All-Star game, by the way. 4 for 4 all 4 years. That shows you how good he's been. He went 2 for 3 with 3 RBI on the day. Then you had RBI spread out through the rest of the lineup. Paul Gubba, who I think is awesome on the all-name team, 3 for 4, 1 RBI. He RBI from Jake Shoemate, who didn't have a hit but made the most of it with an RBI. And then a 1 for 2 day with an RBI for Adam Conarth, who went 1 for 2 with a run scored and a walk. Great pitching as well from Caleb Cox. He got the win 2 2/3, and he shut down the lineup for the prospects. He didn't give up a hit or a run, struck out 2, walked 2. So he really came in and shut the door after a tough prospects team made things interesting early on. Talking about that prospects lineup, they got RBIs from a little bit of everyone. Dominic Santee, who's had a really good season. I don't know if you've had the chance to call a prospects game yet,
Oh yeah,
Matt.
yeah. They
But
like to be on for
Santee
one.
seems to be in the write-up every time we do a prospect story. He went 2 for 2 with an RBI, a walk, and a run scored. RBI from Evan Tuttle, who went 1 for 3 with that RBI. RBIs as well from Hunter Stacy, who will be in our All-Star game, and Grady Harbaugh as well had an RBI with a run scored in the game for prospects. 4 RBIs on the day from 4 different people. That's always good, despite prospects, falling. Their offense looking pretty impressive in the loss to Athletics, 7-5. Your final score there.
I mean, just impressive on both sides here.
Really is, and I know you've had a chance to call both those teams, so no shocker that they played a very competitive game.
Never is here. I mean, even when you get to know the coaches a little bit too, I mean, you know how hard they're making them work out there. So it's great to see them getting the results, even if it's not necessarily a win, still playing close by.
3B Barons, a team that unfortunately you have not been able to call yet, gets the 5-4 edge win over the Nightline team. They score 3 runs in the 4th, and that was the game deciding 3 runs because they survived a little bit of a rally with Nightline scoring 1 run in the top of the 6th. 5-4, your final score. The Barons offense had themselves a pretty good day. 2 RBIs from Mike Del Duca, who went 1 for 1 with 2 RBIs, 2 walks, 2 runs scored. They had RBIs at the bottom of the order from Hunter Trano and Chase Barron. They both went 1 for 2 and with a RBI and a walk. Barron had a walk as well. Pitching for the Barons was Corbin Sevick, who got the win. 4 innings pitched, gave up 1 run on 5 hits, struck out 5, walked none. They also had a pretty good performance from Zyler Friedman. 3 innings, gave up this to 2 earned runs, 3 hits, struck out 3. For Nightline and their good effort, they had RBIs from Andrew Brown, who will also be playing in our All-Star game. A lot of All-Stars on these Class B teams. Nate Freeland went 1 for 3 with an RBI. We saw Nolan Darr get an RBI as well. And then a 2 for 2 day and an RBI for Aiden Thompson from Nightline. As they once again put up that 1 late run, it just wasn't enough thanks to the 3-run bottom of the 4th by the Barons to snatch that victory in a very close game. I like the close games in Class B.
I think we all do.
I feel like the last couple of days we've been seeing a little bit more blowouts than not, but these ones where victories have to be absolutely earned and every pitch matters are just a little bit more fun, obviously.
Yeah, Nightline's not an easy beat either there. I mean, look at the record. Sure, it says 3-9 here, but Coach Otto, I mean, he still expects a lot out of these kids here. He doesn't really give them the longest of leashes all the time, especially when they're pitching. So it's not easy here. You get to go up against some really good talent every single game. So congratulations there to the Barons on getting a well-earned win.
And then last but not least, a big win for Ballistic last night as they went 10-2 over an Avalanche team that's trying to make a run for the top tier of the standings. Not a good night for them last night. A good night for Ballistic, though. They scored 2 in the first, 5 in the third, 3 in the 5th, and then that was enough in the 10-run
15 hits
to do victory. 10 runs on 15 hits, 1 error. 2 runs on 3 hits, 2 errors for Avalanche. This Avalanche offense had been hitting really well coming into this game, so a really good pitching performance from Ballistic. We'll talk about their offense first, though. See the top of that order, the big day from Jake Stachko, who went 2 for 4 with 3 RBI. They had 2 RBIs from Tyler Wright, who will be in our All-Star game. He went 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. You had Danny Pedersen, who went 2 for 2 with an RBI, 2 walks, 2 run scores, so they did not retire him at all last night. Sam Patton, 2 for 3 with an RBI, and then a 1 for 4 RBI day from Elijah Muckle for the hitting for Ballistic, and the pitching, like I said, really well. Owen McKenzie, 5 innings, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits, struck out 7, walked 3 in his win. They had 1 inning of relief from Nick Cipriano. Cipriano, is that how you say it?
That's how I've been pronouncing it. Nobody's come and told me anything differently yet, so
we'll go with the Class B expert there. One inning, no runs, no hits. On me. 1 strikeout, 1 walk in his inning of relief. So a good day for him and a really good day for Ballistic. They needed that win.
And you were talking about Pedersen's offense as well here. How about his 2 stolen bases as well? That's not easy to come by.
No.
It's hustling out there against those catchers who, I mean, every team has such great catching. I mean, they do such a great job of blocking these balls when the pitchers just aren't throwing exactly what they want there all the time. They're blocking them. They're going left, right. I was talking about this yesterday on one of my streams. I don't envy them in that catching position. That might be the hardest position here in Youngstown Class B, is being the catcher defensively. Just having to basically play like as a hockey goaltender, closing that 5-hole in the right time. Because again, some of these pitches here, because some of the pitchers maybe aren't necessarily pitchers as their natural position. They come in here just to give it a go, see what they have. They can go all over the place. Or again, sometimes they just aren't feeling it what they normally do with the starting pitching. So I mean, that's some great catching out there, and especially when they have to throw down to second or third base, they've got arms too. So to get 2 stolen bases against any of these catchers here, that's impressive.
I love that you brought that up, because catchers in baseball are kind of like offensive linemen in football, where they only get recognized when things are going wrong. They do a lot of stuff that doesn't get in the stat line, that doesn't get into the box score, that is just instrumental to a team's success. But it feels like, when you watch baseball at the higher levels or in college, who's in the World Series right now, like catchers don't really get talked about unless they're not doing their job.
Yeah, I mean, these guys
the same thing with offensive linemen. They're only talked about when they're giving stuff up.
And they're also doing a great job here with some of these umpires just fooling them and maybe just slightly moving their glove to the left or right here and getting those strike zones, maybe narrowing it down a little bit. I mean, there's just so much talent here behind the plate this season on every single team here, at least that I've gotten to call. Again, I can't speak about the Barons yet, but I'm sure they're doing the exact same thing. It's fun to watch the catchers. It really is here. If nothing else, if you're going to watch a game here on Ysn or go out to St. Park, go to see the catchers and see what they're doing, because it's impressive.
You got to be able to steal some runs if you're a catcher. You got to be able to frame up balls and steal some runs.
Yeah, and some great throwing to get to the catchers and the better tags too, to relay when runners are going to third base. There's been a couple of really nice just picks there. Yeah, it's been fun to watch them.
Tonight is
everybody
16U night for Class B baseball. We have 5 games on the docket. Scene 1 is going to see the 3B Barons against Eagleware at 5:30.
Well, look at that. I'll finally get the 3B Barons.
There you go. It's the 16U 3B Barons. They got on scene 1. Nightline and Avalanche are on scene 2 at 5:30. Also at 5:30, Ballistic and Prospects. That'll be on scene 3. And then the night wraps up with Creekside and Astro Falcons. That's always been a big rivalry in Class B. That'll be on scene 1. And then on scene 3 at 8 o'clock, Athletics and A to Z Athletics doing some battle in the nightcap on scene 3. Let's look at the standings real quick to see what's on the line for tonight's games in 16U. We see the Avalanche out in front. They are a game and a half up on the Astro Falcons. 10-2 for the Avalanche, 8-3 for the Falcons. Athletics in at 7-4. 3B Barons at 7-5. Prospects at 7-5. Creekside at 6-5. Nightline come in at 6-6. 4-5 for Ballistic. A to Z Athletics 2-8, and Eagleware still looking for their first win. Matt, one of the things I've noticed when I see these standings, from the Astro Falcons all the way down to Nightline, there is 2.5 games that separate those.
Oh
those
yeah, no, that's
teams.
what I was noticing too here. It doesn't matter. I mean, with little B here, 16U, it's always close. It's never just always, oh, it's the Astro Falcons. They're gonna win it all this year. I mean, I believe the Avalanche were in this spot last year too here. And I mean, you got the Barons, again, the new team, the new kids on the block who are right there in fourth place, but Nightline only being what, 4 games back here out of first place. I mean, that's so close. You can't really say that this is going one way or another here. And especially when you play 2 or maybe 3 games, depending on if it's a weekday or weekend, a day, I mean, you can make up that ground before the sun even sets. It's going to be fun here, just especially when we get down the stretch, if everybody
There
stays
are,
close like this.
there are a lot of games to play. I'm excited to see how this shakes up because right now there's a big log jam in the middle, and
Mm-hmm.
every game's going to matter so much in the standings.
No, they absolutely do here. I mean, it's always fun here. Anything can happen. It doesn't matter.
So, Matt, you will be on scene 1 tonight for a pair of Class B games, and I'm sure you're excited about that. ysnlive.com/live is where you can find them. We'll have the scene 3 games with a video-only broadcast brought to you by Andrew Fallett over there on scene 3. We can't put his audio up. He's too crazy.
That's one way to put it.
You know, he's a little
He's a little crazy.
He's a
I'll
little
tell him you said that.
he's a little
I'll tell him Anthony
No, but
Hartworth said he's a little crazy.
we love Andrew. We do. He helps
Oh
us
my
get
God.
games up, and it's video only or not. It's still a game that you can watch on
Mhm.
ysnlive.com that you wouldn't be able to watch without YSN. So make sure to go over there, check out the live games tab, open up Class B baseball, watch it tonight. Matt, I want to thank you for coming on and being on the show for the whole time today. We appreciate your insights on West Branch and really appreciate you following that team all the way through the regional semifinals. You kind of hooked on their wagon a little bit and helped us out with a great voice for their run. And I know that they loved being able to hear your voice for their run, the people that weren't able to go. We've had a lot of good feedback, so we thank you for doing that for us. And I can think of no one else that deserved the spot to go to a state championship game and call that, because you've been putting in absolute work for YSN, not just calling the games that you do, but doing the highlights and everything else, promoting your games on social media as well. You've been doing yeoman's work down there for YSN, so no one deserves a chance to call a state championship game more than you. I'm glad you were able to do it, and I'm glad you were able to call a win. And happy for West Branch, of course, but a little bit happy for you too that you were able to call that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, happy for West Branch. That's the main thing right there.
Yes,
I mean, good
absolutely.
for them. I mean, because that's bigger. What I did was just a small part of it. I just brought it to you. They actually brought the boom. They're the
Right.
reason why it was so much fun here. I don't want to take credit for anything there other than the fact that I was just the vessel that you used to see, or rather listen to, this great team here. I mean, it's all them. But
whenever a coach talks to me about, hey, thanks for coming, I appreciate it, but then I go, hey, you guys put on the show. I just was there for it.
yeah,
they were
I'm the one who
ones.
tried not to trip over my own tongue.
Right.
You guys are the ones who.
well, you didn't. That's good. You never tripped over your own tongue.
Well, anyways, we'll go with
Matt's
that.
like, we'll leave that there.
Yeah, we'll leave
that there. He, always the self-critiquer, Matt Moore, always wants to get better. We like that, buddy.
Yeah, well, hey, I appreciated the opportunity. That was a lot of fun to call them this year, and hey, hopefully we'll maybe get to see them in that state championship again next year. Maybe we'll get to see softball, basketball. Who knows? Maybe it'll just be West Branch's year next year.
A lot of summer ball upcoming, not only at Class B baseball. We have, obviously all the other events that CN Park is going to be able to host throughout the summer. We have our All-Star games coming up on June 22nd for baseball, June 26th for softball. We have Little League baseball and softball going to be starting up in districts a little bit and Field of Dreams. So once again, do not think that YSN is going to be in a dark period when high school sports are taking a little bit of hiatus.
Oh.
We're here to stay. We're going to be here all summer long. Matt, you are always welcome to hop on Running Point. I don't care when. I don't care what day. Send me a text. We'll get you a link. You'll be able to come on, all right?
Absolutely here. And again, I mean, we have Class B. Like you said, we have Little League and softball. We got the NABF coming up here, too, in July. I mean, that's a big tournament right there. The World Series is coming to Struthers, guys. Come on.
And sometimes we have to postpone the Class B playoffs just to get the NABF.
Well, last year was a horrific in terms of having to wait here, because we had to wait until what? Early August to finally get
right there may be time. There may
on.
be some baseball after NABF. We don't want that because that's a big layoff to say, hey, go play for a championship.
And then you got
after a month off
here, which is just the Youngstown team, which is Astro, but Youngstown. So
Right.
you got
That's
even more
true, too.
baseball too. So there's a lot here over the summer. I mean, if you're a baseball fan, you've got it right here on YSN. Can't ask for a better place for it.
Matt, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today on Running Point. And like I said, you're always welcome, buddy. Anytime, just let me know. We'll get you on the show. And for everyone tuning in, we'll see you tomorrow. Scotty Mincher will be in the hot seat tomorrow as my co-host, like he is every Wednesday. We're gonna have some fun with Scotty tomorrow from 1 to 2. Running Point always brought to you by that big logo on top of our heads, Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. Thank you so much.